Sandile, good afternoon to you. Before we talk about what's going to happen, let's rather have a conversation about what he means by a lack of support from the Football Association. What's he saying?
Well, Jeremy, basically what he is saying, I'm guessing he's just telling the nation or Bafana that they didn't, in terms of SAFA, do what they promised. Maybe in terms of them producing whatever he wanted them to produce or to deliver for him. But in terms of the playing personnel, I guess the players were there in terms of performing on the field week in, week out. But maybe it's because the South African Football Association, in terms of them now, administratively, he is not entirely happy with the way SAFA was being run, with the way or the promises that were made to him. And he didn't go into details as to what does or what did he mean when he said he didn't get full support from the South African Football Association.
All well and good, but the reality is he hasn't done a particularly good job, has he?
He hasn't. If you look at his record, he has won 8 matches and also lost 8 matches. That's under 50% out of 20 matches, because 4 of those matches were drawn matches. And also qualifying via the back door, it's something that was a first at this Africa Cup of Nations for Bafana to qualify for the last 16, the round of 16, without winning, too many matches. They won only 1 match. They had to rely on Mali to do the job for them, if you remember quite correctly. So I think he didn't do well. Also, the style of play is something that most South Africans were not happy with.
So, Sandile, who's going to take over?
In terms of Jeremy, I'm not sure whether I got you well. In terms of the candidates now, if we look at other coaches that might be in the running as candidates for Bafana for this Stuart Baxter job, maybe we can look at Pitso Mosimane, who is at Mamelodi Sundowns right now. And I mean, his relationship with his current employers is not a good one since, the beginning of this pre-season. There's been talk that he is going to have a technical director. He is not happy about that, an overseas technical director, and maybe Bafana or SAFA will pounce on that. And also, if we look at Benny McCarthy, he was on record in March this year when I spoke to him. He visited our offices. He said in future he would love to coach Bafana. By the way, he is our most successful player in terms of scoring 31 goals, the overall in terms of all-time leading goal scorer from 80 caps. So he is the man that I'm looking into in terms of taking over. But let's hear from him when I spoke to him, Benny McCarthy, there is in March this year.
It's a dream. Of course, I want to be a World Cup coach. I want to take Bafana into a World Cup first to qualify, because we can't seem to qualify. Since 2002 was the last time Bafana qualified for a major World Cup, and that's a crime. It's a crime on itself. With the crop of players that we had, with the generation of footballers, the infrastructure that we have, that 2002 was the last time Bafana qualified for a World Cup. We missed out on the World Cup in Germany, 2006. 2010 we were the host, so we didn't need to qualify. Then 2014 we missed out in Brazil. Then 2018 we missed out in Russia, so we had to be spectators again. It's painful.
Which I suppose, Sandile, begs the question is, what must the next coach do differently to Stuart Baxter?
Well, I think the next coach, he must be different to Stuart Baxter in terms of identifying correct players for correct positions, and also to make sure that we play according to our strengths, Jeremy. We know that we are a ball-playing nation. Yes, we are not the Brazils of this world, but our style of play is almost identical to that of Brazil. If we are going to hire a coach, maybe a European coach who believes in bully and tall strikers up front, then maybe who will be selecting the wrong coach yet again. We need a coach who is going to believe in our players in terms of them being a ball-playing nation, possession-based type of football. Pitso Mosimane gave us that in his second spell after taking over from Carlos Pereira. Yes, the results were not forthcoming, but in terms of the style of play, we did quite well. So that's the type of coach that we need. And also, of course, to try and motivate the players and to try and make sure that we deliver the results. That's what we need right now. And also to make sure as well that we go back to the grassroots and develop. That coach is going to be key in identifying young players from an early age, the Luther Singhs of this world, and all those type of players who are on the fringes of Bafana Bafana as we speak.
It would be nice to go back to a World Cup, wouldn't it, sports producer Sandile Mchunu? Thank you very much. Talking about who is going to succeed Stuart Baxter, announcing his resignation a little earlier today.